So, that new Donkey Kong design. Yeah, Nintendo fans have been talking about this redesign for Donkey Kong quite a lot lately online. Some people seem to really love it, and some people seem to really hate it and just want the old design back. I will come out and say I like it. I think it looks really good. But yeah, with the releases of both Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, Donkey Kong has a brand new look and people are wondering why. Like, why now? Why change the design they've been using since 1994? And while I don't have a direct answer because Nintendo themselves haven't really clarified why Donkey Kong has a new look, I at least have some pretty good ideas to share as to why. So let's take a look at why Donkey Kong got redesigned. So, as most Nintendo fans know, this isn't the first time that Donkey Kong's been redesigned. Donkey Kong's very first design back in the original arcade Donkey Kong in the 80s looked very different from how it looked in 1994's Donkey Kong Country, because they gave Donkey Kong a whole new look to go with this new generation. And yeah, it's a great design that fit the aesthetics of Donkey Kong Country perfectly, and it's such a good design that they've been using it ever since up until this point pretty much. Man, it makes me feel so old that Donkey Kong Country released over 30 years ago now, but that's a different topic. And you can make the argument that that original design wasn't actually Donkey Kong and it was actually Cranky Kong and all that. I'm not getting into that here though, I've already made a whole video on that, and you can go watch that to see what I have to say about that, but I'm moving on. Anyway, technology's obviously come a long way since then, and that leads me to my first point as to why I think Donkey Kong got a redesign. Simply just to allow for more expressiveness in his animation. Donkey Kong's 1994 design has very distinct eyebrows that kind of limit the facial animations a bit. Like, it kind of makes him look like he's perpetually pissed off in a way. While his new design allows him to be so much more expressive. And if you don't like what I'm saying and you think I'm full of crap, then there's someone else who's been saying this too. And that's the guy who did the 1994 Donkey Kong redesign himself. Yeah, Kevin Bayless, who used to work at Rare and did the Donkey Kong redesign way back in the day. He has been very active on Twitter /X whatever the hell you want to call it now, and he has not been shy to share his thoughts. When redesigning Donkey Kong, he gave him what he called Battletoad's eyes, which, yeah, I can see what he's talking about. And he's been talking very positively about this new Donkey Kong design, and admitting, yeah, it looks way more expressive now. Also, he just shares a lot of really cool facts, so if you're a fan of 90s Rare games, I suggest you follow him. So yeah, pretty simple, but that's one of my reasonings for Donkey Kong's redesign. Something I should bring up is that, while Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza are the first time we're seeing this new design in the games, it's not actually the first time we saw Donkey Kong with this new look. Yeah, Donkey Kong looks very similar to his new redesign in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I remember people were talking about that a lot back then too, but they kind of dismissed it a bit because a lot of the characters look kind of different in that movie, so it was kind of like, oh, maybe that design's just for the movie. But no, they definitely had something bigger in mind when they were doing that. And that brings me to my next point, which is that I think part of why Donkey Kong got redesigned is to better fit in the Mario universe. Donkey Kong is obviously its own series with its own universe and characters and lore and all that, but it's also kind of considered to be an extended part of the Mario universe. Especially after the success of the Mario movie, that just really solidified this fact, I think. And while the other design didn't stick out that much or anything, I think this new cartoony design does fit in a lot better with the other Mario characters. Like, the 1994 Rare design is cartoony too, don't get me wrong, but this is like cartoony on another level with all the expressive animations and stuff I was talking about before. Which I guess you could say that this change does make the Donkey Kong series less unique, because it's all kind of Mario now, it's all meant to look like Mario. And that's a totally valid argument to make, but I don't know, I can see why they're doing this. Although, personally, I think that a lot of the aspects of the Donkey Kong games have already been becoming more Mario-esque as time went on anyway. And that leads into my third reason why I think Donkey Kong got redesigned. The Donkey Kong Country trilogy, especially the first one, it just really had a vibe to it. Maybe the low-poly early 90s 3D models were part of it, I don't know, but just those character models and the environments with that harsh contrast in colors, all along with that soundtrack, man, Donkey Kong Country just had such an atmospheric feel to it. And Rare's Donkey Kong redesign for this game just fit perfectly. Like, this game was cartoony, but it just wasn't the same as like Mario and stuff. Donkey Kong was given a bit of an edge here. And when I say that, I don't mean an edge in the same way as like Sonic the Hedgehog. But there was just kind of this underlying seriousness within the cartoony style. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Anyway, Donkey Kong's 1994 design with those thick eyebrows definitely fit the style for this game. It's a less happy-go-lucky face for a less happy-go-lucky tone. And of course the plot of the game is still your bananas got stolen and you're trying to retrieve your lost bananas, but, you know, everything I'm saying about the tone of the game itself still applies. The sounds that Donkey and Diddy make are even more like realistic monkey noises, rather than the cartoony sounds you hear from them nowadays. And that's where my point comes in, because after the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, the games kind of became more cartoony in a traditional sense, especially with the new Donkey Kong Country games made by Retro. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I love cartoony stuff, don't get me wrong. But it did lose that somber, atmospheric tone to it. And Rare's version of Donkey Kong with the perpetually pissed off looking eyebrows maybe didn't fit in these environments quite as well. Just, yeah, if the games are gonna look more bouncy and cartoony, then it makes sense that the character also has a look that goes with that. And when I talk about not fitting in, I don't mean by much. This wouldn't be like Bayonetta in the game shooting her guns at King K. Rool or anything like that, you know. So those are some reasons why I think Donkey Kong got redesigned. As I said in the beginning, I really do like that new design a lot. I think it looks great. But I am a very sentimental person, and I'm gonna miss the 1994 design. It makes me sad to see that it's kind of already being swept under the rug. But you know, all those games with the old design still exist, and you can still go and play them anytime, so it will never truly be gone. With that all being said though, I am ready to move on into the future with this new design. After all, it's still the same Donkey Kong we all know and love. As a Sonic fan, seeing all the arguing online about the Donkey Kong designs definitely reminds me of classic Sonic versus modern Sonic debates. And it's fine to have your own preference, but it's just like, can't you just accept that they're both great designs for the same character and just, you know, not be annoying about it? But you know, that's just the internet. Anyway, what do you think? Do you love the new design? Do you hate the new design? Or do you maybe have other thoughts as to why Donkey Kong got redesigned that I didn't talk about? I'm always curious to hear other theories out there. Please share any thoughts you have about this topic or feedback in general. I always like feedback. So thank you for listening to me ramble on yet again about Donkey Kong. As always, I very much appreciate all of you for watching. I hope you have a hat-stackin' good day.